July 4 and January 6th. To most people on the planet, these are just dates on a calendar page. In and of themselves, they mean very little, unless you are an American. If you're an American, they mean a lot. They are key parts to our story. Maybe not the entire story, but they give us pause. July 4, 1776. A scrappy bunch of idealistic hooligans decided to tell the world's greatest superpower to F off. They were unbelievably brash, some might even say delusional, in the belief that they could succeed. They poured their aspirations into an audacious plan to launch a country based on demos, the people, and kratos, power, rule, the people's rule, democracy. No other group of people in human history had ever set out to create a new nation based on democratic principles of liberty, justice, freedom, and equality, not in their founding documents, not in their ethos. America's civic values and stated purpose have inspired people the world over. They've given hope. These values are part of what have driven millions of immigrants to America over the centuries. In the booklet True Patriot, authors Eric Liu and Nick Hanauer boldly state that this fact of America's founding makes it exceptional. Now, I admit I find that a little hard, at least on the surface, to take in, but let's stick with it for a moment. The idea that America is exceptional. Despite her flaws, of which there are many, America was and is unique in that it is an experiment, one of promise and potential, forever changing, forever becoming something new. Now that is unique and special in the history of nation building. After arguing for American exceptionalism, the authors quickly asked the question, are we worthy? Just as July 4th and January 6th are dates on a calendar page, words like liberty, justice, freedom, and equality are no more than words on parchment unless they are lived out, unless they are held dear and put into practice by citizens who claim that these values are part of what makes the nation exceptional. We are not worthy of the mantle exceptional unless we understand that these values, these aspirations, hopes, and purpose, that these things that were poured into America's foundation, even if only for a few in the beginning, are actually for all of us. January 6th, 2021. A scrappy bunch of idealistic hooligans decided to tell the world's greatest power to F off. They were unbelievably brash, some might even say delusional, in the belief that they could succeed. Or were they? They poured their distorted aspirations into a reactionary plan to drag their country backwards into a dystopian state where white men rule without a question, individual liberties trump common good, and America's exceptionalism rests in its ability to exclude rather than include. It's been 1 year since a bunch of my fellow citizens turned 200 years of history on its head. Since the proud tradition of a peaceful transfer of power, one of our civic practices that has inspired people around the world, was literally pissed on in the halls of Congress by a predatory horde of fear-filled Americans. Pundits have spent a great deal of time wringing their hands about how the insurrectionists are fearful of demographic change, of economic change, of cultural change, just of change in general. They fear how these changes disrupt whatever power they think they hold through their status of whiteness. Now, some of these people we know are quite explicit about their whiteness and what it means to them. Others hide or deny that white supremacy is driving America's divisions. It is. The promise of the world being exclusively for white people is no longer true. And rather than adjusting to that change and discovering the beauty found in solidarity beyond skin color, they are seeking to soothe themselves through lies. Lies spread by demagogues, media hacks, and even some pastors, all of whom hold a level of power and wealth they have no intention of sharing with anyone, even white masses. When the idealistic yet flawed founders of this nation issued their Declaration of Independence, they were fearful too, fearful of the British, but also whether a fragile democracy like the one they proposed could survive. They knew they were engaging in a bold and risky experiment. Some of them even recognized the hypocrisy built into America would eventually be a problem. More than anything, though, they knew that some of the risk that they were taking rested in the fact that we, the people, can be easily swayed and manipulated. Ultimately, though, they decided to trust us And by us, I don't just mean the people of the 18th century, I mean us, today, Americans in 2022. So I think the question that we need to ask ourselves is not only are we worthy of the mantle of exceptionalism, but were the founders right to put their trust in us? Are we trustworthy enough to continue to build upon the promise and potential of America? Can we be trusted to right what has been wronged? Where we might, and I wish I could use a word stronger than might, but where we might have a chance is that I see a growing number of Americans recognizing the power of we. Now, it's been said throughout the pandemic that we're all in this together, and sometimes I know it feels like we're not. But I bet we probably all know people who have shown more sensitivity and caring for each other than who haven't. And if you listen to the advocacy of younger generations, especially those engaged in climate change, you immediately recognize a profound understanding of the importance of we and what it means to share a community, to share a world. And you can feel the power of collective action, love, and support in the calls made through the Black Lives Matter movement and in Native American communities, both of whom want better lives for their communities, yes, but who recognize that we all have to share this land together, and it's best if we work together. Although the insurrectionists and their apologists might seem like a group, might look like a we, they're not. They have a self-destructive me-only mentality. To secure their individual liberties, they will cast aside the common good at every turn. Their movement, if you want to call it that, will cannibalize itself eventually. Nothing that narcissistic can survive the long haul. But at what cost to the rest of us, and at what cost to democracy? Now, this is where we have to stand up and say, yes, it is right and good that I have inherited the responsibility for pushing America to live up to her promises. I will make America worthy of being considered exceptional. I am trustworthy, and I am committed to making democracy work for everyone. Now, that's a huge commitment that will take a lifetime of work. And my fervent hope is that you will not only make that commitment individually, but you will find others to make it with you. Collectively, as we can stand up for each other, and we can pour support into each other when needed. Now, there are a few theologians I like to follow, like different blogs and social media and whatnot. I enjoy learning from them. A couple of them are Father Richard Rohr and Kate Bowler. Now today, Rohr actually quoted Kate Bowler in his blog, and I want to end with the words that I think are good for us. Whether you take these words in spiritually or civically, I think they matter and provide some good perspective. Whether it is our parents, our teachers, mentors, friends, faith communities, or neighbors, people have been pouring into us. We are standing on a foundation, and that should be an incredible relief. Our only job is to build on what's been given, and even then, even our gifts we can trace back to the creativity, generosity, and foresight of others. Thank God we're a group project. Stay safe, stay well, and stay committed to democracy, my friends.